So it's come to our attention through our cultural sources, Mr. Mayor, that you're supposed to have filed a report on spending on illegal aliens in Chicago with the White House by now. What's happening with that, or what has happened with that?
We don't have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's from some sort of sci-fi message that you wish have had. Well, listen, the legal term for my people were slaves. You want me to use that term too? So look, let's just get the language right. We're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. The last thing that I'm going to do is accept the type of racist, nasty language to describe human beings. And so as far as our spending on Chicagoans, I've put forth a $16.7 billion balanced budget that ensures that we're investing in education, transportation, housing, youth employment, environmental justice, as well as ensuring that we have safe communities. And we are going to challenge the ultra wealthy to pay their fair share. He's more than happy to look at that budget.
Let me just, excuse me, let me just say something here. It is very important that people in Illinois and across the country understand the immigration system is a civil system. Undocumented presence in the United States is not a criminal offense. And so thank you for the clarification on language.
And happy, a group out here just trying to show some love. I can read a sign from here that says God demands freedom. A lot of people around here have signs that have biblical verses on them. But there are also some signs here that, we cannot show on TV because they have curse words that are pointed.
I didn't see any like that.
I saw a few.
Were you working for Fox?
I'm actually live on the air right now. No,
are you really?
I'm not.
Why are you lying to them?
I'm not lying, sir. Please. I saw some signs.
We're going to make sure that Lauren is okay.
But there are several.
Do you know how many religious leaders are out here?
Our thanks to Lauren. We're going to make sure she's okay as she's interacting with some people who have gathered out at this
Boy. So we got to talk about more of these left-wing riots and protests against ICE and ICE facilities. Simply because we are enforcing the laws of the land, right? We're enforcing the fact that people just can't come into this country illegally, right? You just can't come into the country illegally. And the protests are getting cringier and cringier and cringier. Like, for example, the leftists, the old boomers, are having aerobics classes, so it seems, outside of certain ICE facilities, like, for example, in Portland, in order to protest against ICE. This is what they're doing. It's almost like a mental illness at this point. Well, I guess it's a good thing that leftists are exercising, right? The more that they exercise, the less likely that they'll need some, Medicaid or some form of government paid for healthcare, right? That these people want everybody else to pay for. So I guess a good thing that at the very least they're exercising, right? Exercising is better than being agents of chaos. But you do have some who have decided that they're going to continue to be agents of chaos. And that's what we have to talk about here today, because there was a massive riot outside of the ICE Center in Broadview, outside of Chicago, due to a recent ruling by a woke judge demanding that the administration, demanding that ICE release some illegal immigrants that the judge claims were unlawfully detained. Take a look.
We are following breaking news out of Chicago, where a judge has just ordered hundreds of individuals detained by federal agents to be released. The order today follows news that the Trump administration's widespread immigration crackdown is now expanding to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's according to a senior DHS official. Joining us now is NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, let's start with the news out of Chicago. What do we know about the judge's order to release detainees?
Yeah, this is shocking, Kate. This is a federal judge, Jeffrey Cummings, who says that what ICE and Border Patrol have been doing in Chicago since they started Operation Midway Blitz there in September is in violation of a 2022 consent decree that keeps agents from making arrests when they do not have lawful warrants. This is called the Castagna Nava Settlement. And it says that these warrantless arrests mean that these people can no longer be detained. And so 615 of them, if they haven't already been deported from the country and they're still in immigration detention, are now being ordered to be released by Friday if they can pay bond. In other words, they can't be detained without bond. That bond is set at $1,500. And once they're released, they'll be put on ankle monitors, known as alternatives to detention, something very common used under previous administrations and sometimes during this administration, so that immigrants can check in with ICE as they make their way through the immigration system, whether that's to something like asylum or toward deportation. But he is saying that their detention was unlawful. And we're out to the Justice Department now to see if they might appeal this ruling, Kate.
And Julia, what do we know about why the Trump administration is sending Border Patrol agents apparently to Charlotte, North Carolina?
Well, it's the next iteration of what we saw in Chicago, Kate. This is now Border Patrol rather than ICE. Previously, like in Chicago and LA, Border Patrol was working alongside ICE to do these very large immigration operations. They post the daily, the monthly numbers of how many people they are arresting. Now Border Patrol, which has taken 1,500 men and women from the nation's borders and moved them to the interior to focus on arrests for deportations, will really go solo to Charlotte, North Carolina, where they'll be taking on what they call Charlotte's Web as a nickname for the operation there. And they'll be led by Chief Greg Bovino. He is the Border Patrol commander that oversaw operations in LA and Chicago, and of course became entangled in a lawsuit in both of those cities because of some of the aggressive actions there. In fact, videos have recently emerged of Bovino throwing canisters of tear gas at crowds.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. This woke judge demanded that ICE release these illegal immigrants and gave them a time frame in which they would have to do so. Now, I want to clarify, because some people may be confused as to why is it that a woke judge is demanding that illegal immigrants be released. Well, the reason why is not because they're not illegal. The reason why is because the judge has an issue with how ICE detained the illegal immigrants. So they're here illegally. We know they're here illegally. They are subject to deportation. But the judge is basically saying, I don't like the way that you found the illegals, right? I don't like that. I don't like the way that you detained them. So therefore, you have to release them. Now, if they are released, they're going to be monitored. They're going to be required to go through all of the proceedings. And yeah, they can eventually be deported. The judge just didn't like the way that ICE did it. That's essentially what the issue is here. So the woke activists showed up to the ICE facility in Chicago demanding that the illegals be released now. And let's just say that they found out.
Deadline this morning to release 13 ICE detainees in Illinois. The judge ruling that they were held in violation of a law preventing ICE from making arrests without a warrant. The judge touring an ICE facility as well this week as part of a lawsuit alleging inhumane conditions at the Broadview detention facility outside Chicago. The judge accompanied by attorneys for the plaintiffs and a translator. This facility has been a flashpoint in the administration's immigration crackdown. Protesters this morning out there once again. These are live images of yet another clash on a Friday morning between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement at this Broadview facility. News Nation's Mills Hayes is there. Mills, it looks like things are getting pretty interesting. What's going on?
Hi there, Marnie. We thought that something like this might happen. We were hearing rumblings that potentially people were going to get out into the street and give themselves up. That's what they said, to be arrested. You guys can see this clash taking place. We saw more than 20 people actually come into this road right here, and these officers responding. As you can see, it looks like they have formed a human chain to try to prevent officers from actually arresting people. But you can see that over here, there's actually some arrests already being made. People in the streets. This is the Cook County Sheriff's Office, and another person being dragged by the Cook County Sheriff's officers over there. This was a peaceful morning until about 10 minutes ago, and we did start to see people come in to the road here. Now, of course, lots of people very angry about these immigration enforcement operations. Take a look at this. You can see this guy right here. He has those wooden boards. Those are what those protesters use to fend off those law enforcement officers. I can hear a Broadview police officer point a taser. You can hear that going off right there as we speak. They're starting to push back. A woman on the ground right there. It looks like a faith leader. And we see the sheriff's office, the Cook County, Broadview police, all pushing back on these protesters. A lot of these people are actually members of the faith community who come out here every Friday. Now, we are being told to stay back. We're going to follow those rules, of course, but you can see that this really is a stressful situation. Some of those officers back there taking those protesters' gas masks that fell off during the arrest, and we are seeing these people push back from the law enforcement officers. We spoke with some protesters earlier who were very frustrated with local police officers as well as state police officers, what they feel like as being helping the ICE officers. And of course, this arrest happening right here as we speak, and you can hear the crowd screaming shame and shame. But of course, these officers say that this is all for the protection of the people, which is why we have seen these designated protest zones actually put in place. And you can see there is a huge swath of media on my right as well. We've seen at least 3 people arrested, and we're seeing them being taken away into that Cook County Sheriff's Office, that bus over there. Someone being arrested right here, and they're pushing more of those people back. But of course, all of this also falls on the same day, Marnie, that at least 13 people are expected to be released from ICE custody who are being held in detention centers. A judge ruled on Wednesday that those people needed to be released because they were being held within violation of a 2022 consent decree that bars ICE officers from making arrest without warrant, and there could be more than 600 other people who are going to be released next week. Now, this is all happening, remember, at the same time, too, that Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino has left the Chicago area. He says that despite them leaving for the time being, they're not going anywhere, and in fact, they're going to increase operations. I do want to show over here to our left, you can see those batons being used back as well to push people, and I just got one used on me as well right now, Marnie. So chaotic scene, but Border Patrol Chief Bovino saying that these enforcement operations will not stop. In fact, they will only ramp up. And so a lot of protesters that we spoke with earlier told us that they're going to be on high alert for increased operations, Marnie.
Yeah, so I love that. Right, I love the fact that the Trump administration is not backing down from carrying out the mass deportations despite the backlash from these left-wing extremists. Because, I mean, the thing is that annoys me about the internet is that for whatever reason, there are a lot of people who are pretending as if Trump is not doing enough when it comes to this topic of immigration, when we have negative migration. Okay, we have negative migration.
2025 net migration in the United States down at least 60% from last year. In fact, we may be heading for the first time in at least 50 years in which we have net negative migration into the United States. And last year, of course, in 2024, the net migration in the U.S. was 2.8 million. This year, we might be talking about negative net migration. My goodness gracious. Now, of course, this is part of a larger story, as I was mentioning. We're talking about immigration, net migration. We're talking about the effective tariff rate. But get this. How is Donald Trump doing it? Well, he is signing a ton of executive orders. Get this, 180, the most in a year since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, my goodness, you have to go back to the first half of the 20th century, the last century. And to make a comparison, Joe Biden signed, get this, just 77 during his entire first year. And we're only a little bit in August so far. And Donald Trump making history with 180 executive orders signed so far this year. So that's why I said that in my mind, Donald Trump is the most influential president of this century and probably dating back a good portion of the last century. That is because he is remaking the country in terms of tariffs. He is remaking the country in terms of net migration, and he is remaking the country in terms of how much policy changes he's putting through in executive orders. As I said, it truly is history making. Love it, like it, or lump it.
Yeah, I love it, right? I personally love it, okay, especially when it comes to the illegal immigration part of it. I mean, again, there are people who are pretending as if Trump is not doing what he promised that he was going to do. Trump is not doing enough for the mass deportation. Well, how do you explain net migration going from 2.8 million? We're talking about 2 million plus, almost 3 million people net coming into the country last year to negative. How do you explain that? If he's not doing what he promised that he was going to do. If the mass deportations are fake, how do you explain that? It's just, it really blows my mind, right? The internet is a strange place. It really is. So the Department of Homeland Security, not only are they not backing down to the woke activists, they are trolling them. They're saying, womp womp, cry all you want. These illegal aliens aren't getting released like clockwork. Violent rioters have arrived at the Broadview ICE facility to demand the release of some of the worst human beings on planet Earth. Get a job, you imbecilic morons. Yeah. So, ICE is not backing down. There were a ton of individuals that were arrested, nearly 24 arrested as, again, faith leaders, right? This is the way they frame it. They want you to feel bad for these people, right? That were arrested, right? Nearly 24 people were arrested as faith leaders, protested on Friday outside a federal immigration facility near Chicago, authorities said, the latest sign of tensions over the Trump administration's aggressive enforcement approach. The Cook County Sheriff's Office said in a press release that 21 people had been detained outside a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Processing Center in Broadview, Illinois, but did not provide identities and charges. Michael Wolf, minister at Lake Street Church of Evanston, was among those arrested, a Reuters photo showed. Yeah. So again, this so-called minister here, right? He found out. It is what it is. And they're going to show you stuff like this because they want you to feel bad, right? They want you to look at this and say, oh, we can't have ministers being arrested. Well, I mean, if the minister is obstructing, if the minister is breaking the law, then, it is what it is. Okay? It is what it is.
This week, the Catholic bishop sent out a special message. They said they get the countries to secure their borders, but they don't like these mass deportations. What's your message?
So according to them, the message we should send to the whole world is that if you cross the border illegally, which is a crime, don't worry about it. If you get ordered removed by a federal judge after due process, don't worry about it because there shouldn't be mass deportations. Is that the message we send to the whole world? People are still going to put themselves in harm's way to come to the greatest nation on earth. They're going to spend their life savings to give to a criminal cartel. We saw during the Biden administration when there wasn't no immigration enforcement, over 4,000 aliens died next day during the historic record. 250,000 Americans died in fentanyl, historic record. Secure borders save lives. I wish the Catholic Church would understand that. We have the right to secure our borders like they have the right to secure their facility. You can't secure their facility without being arrested. As a matter of fact, the penalties entering their facilities are much worse than ours. So, we're going to force the law, and by doing that, we're saving a lot of lives. Secure borders saves lives. And one of the reasons no one talks about why we have the most secure border in the history of this nation is because exactly what ICE is doing. ICE is sending a message to the whole world. Don't give your life savings to come to the country because you're not going to be released. You're not going to cross the border illegally when you possible. So the Catholic Church is wrong. I'm sorry. I'm lifelong Catholic. I'm saying it as not only a borders, I'll say it as a Catholic. I think they need to spend time fixing the Catholic Church, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not going to use religion to guilt trip me on these mass deportations. They got to happen, right? They got to happen no matter what. And these people can cry about it. They can pray about it, right? They can do whatever they want. But it's not going to change the reality that it has to happen. You can't allow millions and millions and millions of illegals into the country and then think that, oh, well, see, we're not supposed to take, extreme measures in order to remove them, right? You got to do that because the policies that allowed them in were extreme. So in order to get them out, we got to do what we got to do. And it just makes it harder when these liberal cities don't want to cooperate. So yeah, it is what it is. I just want to say that, listen, leftists are energized by this, right? We laugh, we kiki and ha, but they're active, right? They're active and they vote based off this stuff. And we got to make sure we're giving that same energy, right? We have to reward the administration. We have to reward the president for the good job that he is doing on immigration, even if you don't agree with everything that he's doing. Yeah, I think it's important to understand that having net negative migration, having the mass deportations, enforcing our laws, right? Enforcing border security, that's better than not having any of it at all, because that's what we had under the Biden administration. We didn't have any border security. We didn't have the mass deportations, okay? These illegals were just allowed to come in and out of the country at will. We don't want that. And if you don't want to go back, then we have to vote. We have to match their energy, okay? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.